It was in July 4th, 1776, that the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles traveled back in time to unite our founding fathers to sign the Declaration of Independence. With them, they brought 4 boxes of pizza, 3 sets of nunchucks, 1 dead, giant mutated rat, an evil villain who was bound to kill them, thus uniting the founding fathers in their attempts to thwart evil, and, of course, the head of whoever was running England. After all this had taken place, the Ninja Turtles decided to sit down, eat the pizza, kill the founding fathers, and become mutant gods of the old realm, thus writing Christianity, or American Christianity, and creating a new spin on being a radical, cool dude. Also, they ate the Declaration of Independence and lit Britain on fire. Wow. Isn't history fun? No, fierce, is it? Wow. Hey there, welcome to the Matt Hawker Show. Hey there, welcome to the show. I'm Matt Hawker, and you're listening to The Matt Hawker Show with Matt Hawker. Me, Matt Hawker. So you might remember me from such episodes as Return of the, which was episode 19, Bagel Bandwidth, episode 18, Curse of the Interview, episode 17, and who could forget Thursday with the Brayman, episode 16. I've been with you guys for a few hundred years now, and I hope to stay around a few hundred more. And with that in mind, today's episode is dedicated to the fans. That's right, the listeners, the people that tune in and send me ears. They cut them off and they mail them to me, and then I pin them on my wall so that I always have listeners listening. Today's episode is going to be a little special, a little brought to you by person A, B, C, D, E, F, G, alphabet, get in my P. But basically, they're going to be the inspiration for the dialogue. So I went on the internet and asked a bunch of people on social media, what should I talk about in my next episode? And of course, millions responded. And while I can't do all of the responses because I would unfortunately provide so much greatness that this episode would fall apart into a billion pieces, I lost my train and now I'm going to go get it. First topic, Coke versus Pepsi. All right. Okay, Coke versus Pepsi. You got Coke and you got Pepsi. On the one hand, you have a drug that is super cool and is going to get you really stoked for some crazy rad tunes and some ratchet times. And on the other hand, you have Pepsi, the family-friendly drink for all occasions. This seems like an easy one, guys. I'm going to have to go with Coke. The soda, not the drug. Drugs are bad. I take that back. I'm going to go with Pepsi. Thank you for the subject. Next up, we have the effect of Hammurabi's code on Babylonian society. Now, this is a really interesting one, and I've spent a lot of time researching this over the couple years, and I'm glad you brought this to my attention. This is an important matter that I think is worth discussing. So, to really set the tone for the Babylonian era, let's make something clear. This was a set of laws that actually allowed that it wasn't just a set of laws, it was a foundation. And I think that's a drastic difference in how we analyze really what these laws meant. Because on the one hand, these weren't laws that just necessarily patched things up. These were building blocks that they tried to build a society off of, that they basically rewrote from all the previous mistakes. They just took a record, they snapped it in two, and then they moved on to cassette tapes. That's what these laws were. And really, what I think what's most fascinating about these sets of laws really is that it was all about sort of an equilibrium establishment. You know, this guy breaks your finger, you break his finger. This guy chops off your eyeball, you chop off his eyeball. this guy eats your sandwich, you kill his wife. That's really what these laws were about. They were very vile, usually involved killing other people's property because people had property which that was actually people, and really it was all about equilibrium. So if someone ate my bread, I would massacre their entire family under this set of laws, and it was fine. It was fair, it balanced out. If I stole someone's gold, they would have every right to basically put my feet into a piranha infested pool and then lick my earlobes while laughing maniacally at me, and then spitting into my nostrils until I would basically disintegrate into the piranha's stomach acid and then become part of nature once again. I don't want to go too far into it, but really I think the moral lesson that we can take from this code is that we got to be equal to one another. If to sort of put this in a modern perspective, if another country says, hey, you guys aren't doing things right, you should nuke them and eradicate them from existence, and then erase their people from history books, and then finally you gather the stragglers and you remove them from the public eye, in the public eye, literally, as a warning to the world. And I think that's what Hammurabi was really trying to tell us, is that as long as we treat others equally, and we treat others like property, and we make an equivalence between people and objects, everything's going to be okay. And I think the Babylonians understood this, and that's why they're still a thriving society today in the country of Babylonia, which is just north of North America. What a great time. Thank you for the submission, listener. I hope I answered your questions on how that affected the Babylonian society. I mean, really, the simple matter is they still here now, so something's working. Know what I'm saying? Yeah, cool. All right, awesome. The next subject is the new Super Nintendo with built-in games. What is it? Is it wearing a cape? Is the Nintendo wearing a cape? Are the games? How do you build it in? Does it like come with Monopoly? I don't understand. This is a dumb subject. Next one. Our Lord and Savior, Santa, Satan, Santa, angry face, kitty face. This was a bad submission, and I hope you feel bad for it. Don't ever send me a submission again. Garlic mashed potatoes with a honey mustard drizzle. Wow. Now this is something that I could talk about for hours. Not a lot of people know this, but garlic mashed potatoes with a honey mustard drizzle is actually a code word that the Russians utilized in their spy network way back when. Basically, after they made their agents submissive to hypnosis and hypnotic techniques, they planted garlic mashed potatoes with a honey mustard drizzle into these agents and then set them across the earth. Once the code word was released, a kill switch basically, they would go nuts, doing everything they could to implement strategies that the Russian leader at the time wanted implemented. So, for example, if I went up to one of these individuals and said garlic mashed potatoes with a honey mustard drizzle, they would immediately flower my garden. The Russians were really big on this back then. They would travel across the world putting flowers in people's gardens. This is actually the origin of gnomes, and it's why we actually see so many gnomes eating garlic mashed potatoes, because Russian spies way back when were very short, wore red hats, and were made out of porcelain. So just a fun fact for you guys, or clay, porcelain or clay. Sorry, historians out there. I didn't mean to get you guys upset. Both are fine. Thanks for the subject. Next one, zuppa di pasta e fagioli. This one's a little tough. My Japanese is a little rough here, but basically, this is a type of fish that would eat itself over the course of its lifespan. And it was very interesting because basically it wouldn't do anything else. It would just try to eat itself. Imagine a dog chasing its tail, except it's nothing like that because it's a fish. So basically the fish would spin around in a circle, create sort of like a whirlpool, and then get swept up in the whirlpool. And then the force of the water would be so strong that it would sweep its backside into its mouth, and then it would like suck itself out of existence. This is actually the origin of black holes in space, and a lot of these fish end up going into the outer reaches of the dark areas of our levels of understanding, just beyond the stars, in order to mate and create offspring. So, fun fact there. Next subject: the idea that the reality we are living in right now may not be the one we were born into. I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory. That's an idea. Good one. Wow. That's the idea. The unrivaled military might of the passenger pigeon and its imminent invasion on us soil. Us soil. I don't know what that even means. Work on your grammar there, champ. I mean, though, the passenger pigeon is interesting because people used to ride pigeons into battle. They still do today. Sometimes they take them to fast food places, order food, and then get into, miniature skirmishes, little civil feuds to settle arguments and disagreements. You maybe ordered a large Pepsi and they said, no. And then you called me and I said, well, that's the best drink. You better give it to them. And they said, no, we only serve Coke, the drug. And then I would fly there on my pigeon, my passenger pigeon, and then attack until they, gave you what you wanted. Fun fact. Next subject. Oh, thank you, listener, for the subject request. Next subject: jeggings versus Italian hot pants. I have a confession to make. I actually wear both at once constantly. There really isn't a verse scenario here. I try to wear both at once at all times. Really mostly because I get cold very quickly. And I also find that jeg rhymes with leg, so it just makes sense that I would wear it. So I wear the Italian hot pants for the extra heat, and I wear the jeggings because, frankly, it rhymes with leggings, and leggings is a part of leg, and it just makes sense that I am wearing these constantly. So really, my response to this one is, why can't we all just get along, or wear along, rather, wear pants together always? Thank you, listener. Next subject is, why is there Cheerios in my cheese? I don't know. Next listener: why Dragon Ball Super isn't as bad as everyone says. It is as bad as everyone says. That's why. Next subject: Jason versus Freddy. Unfortunately, I don't know who they are because you didn't apply their last names to your very thorough subject. So this was kind of lame. Why am I bad at Overwatch? Well, that is something that you're going to have to find out through years of therapy, unfortunately. Nothing that I can really apply here. Thank you for the subject. Next one is, if the Dark Angels are really a traitor chapter or not. Well, it's interesting. The Dark Angels indeed are likely a traitor chapter, but not necessarily because of the lore that's been presented to us thus far. This is sort of an underbelly of the beast sort of situation, or rather back of the book sort of summary. When we go through the chapters, we're not really seeing much in the Dark Angels in terms of whether or not they're a traitor. We have to draw our own conclusions here. And I recognize that can be a little difficult, but let me just suggest real fast that perhaps if we close the book and read the back, we can figure out what's really happening with the Dark Angels. See, this is an author that actually tried to summarize the literature by supplying the answer on the back of the book, because no one ever reads that. They read the inside cover of the book. Fun fact. So in the back of the book, it actually reads, the Dark Angels are possibly a traitor. Buy the next book to find out. Well, there you go. All right, thank you for the subject. The next listener, their comment was he. Trying to he He. He could be a riddle, like maybe hemorrhaging elephants, having ears, holding earmuffs. I have a lot of ear stuff I'm getting from this. Maybe that's what it is. The next subject is me. I'm me. That's me. That's what I am. Next subject is how folks who use trackpads can play Toho or Osu well. I don't know, but that sounds like very kawaii and desu, Japanese senpai, hentai, tentacle manga. Next subject, who is Flame God Flan? Flame God Flan is actually the god of flan, the dessert. He heats it up, he torches it, and he gives it to all heroes who desire it. He's sort of someone that watches over us and feeds us fantastic desserts in order to keep us safe and welcome and well and alive, really. I mean, without his flan, we wouldn't be able to make it. So Flame God Flan is a really hip guy who understands my flan needs and is always there to support me and my desires. Thank you for the subject. The next subject is Matt. You have to. Okay. All right. I guess I will. All right. Okay, here we go. I'm going to drink this entire cup of water without stopping. 1, 2. I'm not stopping. It's me drinking water still. Delicious. All right, and finally, the last comment here on social media was, I've begun. I have begun to start this episode of the Matt Hocker Show. Welcome, everyone. Hope you're enjoying this episode today. Anyway, here on the Matt Hocker Show, we got a lot of exciting things to tell you about. Listen up, because here we go on the Matt Hocker Show. I want to break it down for you in 3, 2, 1. Mutant gods of the old realm. I've been sick for a few years now. I was diagnosed with harpadarpa. Harpadarpa is an ancient disease that infects your tongue and makes you say things you don't want to say. It also leads you to downloading podcast software and buying podcast equipment so you can make audio that then basically infects other listeners that tune into your show. It's unfortunately incurable. There's nothing I can do about it. It's something my doctor said I should basically remove myself from society for, because it could hurt other people and lead them to doing the same thing that I'm doing now. But I'm not one to walk away from this sort of situation. Harpadarpa might not be something that's curable, but it's something that I can handle in my day-to-day life. With proper exercise, proper meditation, proper nutrition, I think I'm ready to introduce myself as a recipient of Harpadarpa and someone who is willing to do everything they can to work past this deadly disease and communicate to you, my listeners, who will be infected with Harpadarpa, my plight. I want you to know what I've been through, so that way you can better prepare yourselves should you ever get it, which I highly doubt. I don't think you'll get Harpadarpa, which is infectious through listening to podcasts by those who have Harpadarpa, but I just want you to know that Harpadarpa is perfectly clean. You know, it's not going to get to you. Don't worry. I've got it covered. You will not get Harpadarpa. You will get Harpadarpa. Anyway, today on the show, we had a lot of fun. Let's have a lot of fun here on the Let's Have Fun. I had a lot of fun. Let's have fun. I was flossing my teeth earlier, and they were bleeding. The gums were bleeding because I don't floss often. And so I decided to keep flossing. And as I kept flossing, I discovered the floss was going deeper and deeper. So I took a look around down there, and there's a whole society. It was mind-blowing. I've never seen anything like this before. There were people, cars, airplanes, locomotives, bears, tigers, wolves, trains, locomotives, ice cream, pizza, green beans, Jewish people, white people, locomotives. It was maddening. I had no idea this was all going on in my mouth. So I had to take a second. I had to stop. I had to think, okay, Matt, what are you going to do here? What do you guys think I did? Naturally, I got some ice cream. And the ice cream guy said, hey, be careful. This is really weird because we're in you and you're in here. It could create some sort of existential paradox and lead us all into becoming mutant, the great voice of existence. And I said, and sure enough, he was right. Now they're gone. So my mouth is blurring again. It's unfortunate. Nothing I can do about it. Wipe out a civilization, if they're following the Code of Hammurabi, referenced earlier in the episode for those that are listening, though, I'm sure they'll exact their revenge in the great state of equality that is a necessity for all of us to follow. Except they can't because they're gone. Suck on it, Hammurabi. You were wrong, and I was right. I'm king. Except when this ends and I no longer exist, in which case I guess you're right. But are they really exacting their revenge, or am I exacting my revenge on me for doing what I did? When you think about it, if I take someone's toe and then I take my own toe, they can't even get revenge on me because I created equilibrium, but they didn't do anything. So, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, maybe I should be Hammurabi and start a show called The Hammurabi Show, featuring me, where I do things to others and I do them to myself and I become immune and basically invincible and or immortal, whichever comes first. Anyway, thanks for listening to the show today. I'm Matt Hawker. You can find me on iTunes, of course. If you're listening to that already, then there you go. I am also naturally on Facebook.com/The Matt Hawker Show, Twitter.com/Matt Hawker Show. You can also look me up on Podchaser, where you can review all your podcasts and get some cool, sweet, hot podcast action. This stuff is wet, folks. This stuff is wild. It is gonna trickle into your ears and go ooh, like that several times. It's going to be great. Can't recommend it enough. Oh yeah, also of course you can follow me on Patreon if you feel like donating $1 or a baby doe, whichever comes first, or whatever you find in the woods. Just donate it to me. I'd make great use of it. Anyway, thank you for listening to the Matt Hawker Show, and remember, celery is not a snack, but it is a goddess, and we should worship it as one and make our daily sheep quota out to it in spades. Also, shuffle your decks. Remember that diamonds are inherently worthless and that the club card is most valuable if no one's paying attention and you're not playing the game, or cards, or poker. I don't like poker, except I do. Maybe, not really. Don't eat celery. It tastes disgusting. When you poop it out, it smells bad. Thank you. Goodbye.